What's up, guys, and welcome back to Paint Bravely, the podcast where you can find a little bit of encouragement, discover new ways to make your hobby more fun, and most importantly, learn to paint bravely. Now, Brent is filling up his sweet, fancy Diet Orange soda. I've got my coffee, and we are ready to record another podcast. Now, of course, we're going to get into a pretty interesting topic today, but before we do that, Brent, what have you been up to in the last few weeks?
Oh, I've been up to all kinds of stuff. That's a lie. I've been up to really one big thing. I've been clipping sprues for just weeks on end. I've been clipping sprues. So,
well, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, that's a problem you want to have. That's it's fun, and that for me is quite relaxing because you feel like you're making progress. You got a pile of incoming sprues, and then coming out the other end, you get a pile of a future project that you'll have to work on, and you got a pile of empty sprues that I am saving them all up, and someday they will find their true calling.
I was going to ask you. I mean, do you really save all of the sprues?
Yeah. And okay, I've had one idea so far that might be worthy.
Oh, let me guess. Are you going to melt it down in some kind of solution and then make some kind of thing out of the goo? Is that what you're gonna do?
Maybe not. Although I have seen some fun videos about, I mean, it's a thermoplastic. If you heat it up enough, it will physically melt into new shapes.
Yeah.
And so there's one video that I really like. It's somebody with an old toaster oven, and they take it outside because you probably don't want to be breathing that. And they hook themselves up the toaster oven with a little plate of bits of sprue, and they kind of melt together. It makes almost like this lattice. Each bit of sprue, you can still sort of see where it was, but it's also like one piece. So coming off of this cookie sheet out of the toaster oven is like a sheet, like almost like a sheet of paper size, but like thicker, of all these crisscrossed noodles. And that's not actually what I was thinking of, but there's things you can do. You can either use the chemical, kind of get it halfway dissolved and reform it that way, or you can just be gluing them together into new and interesting shapes, or you could just melt them down and get some plates of sprues and do something with that. But
yeah.
I don't know. I've been thinking lately that I might want to try some cosplay someday. Like, dress up as a wizard or an elf or something and get back going to conventions again. Yeah.
I mean, it is almost like we're so close.
Yeah.
We're so close to getting back.
we missed it for this year, but next year I got a real good feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyway, how do sprues relate to cosplay? Well, I was thinking you need well, you don't need, but I think it would be really helpful to have a mannequin, or like, the frame that you put your suit of armor on.
Sure.
And so I was thinking a fun YouTube video would be like, I make a mannequin in my reasonably precise size with melty sprues. And I've been thinking about the volume of my body and the volume of sprues I have, and by the time I actually get my act together and do this, it's about right.
That's so many sprues. Oh man, I don't know. I have a really hard time with sprues. Like I hold on to them, and then I kind of just, I double check them to make sure I didn't miss any bits. And then I don't know, it's like I sit on them for a while, and it's like, well, I'll keep the box. And so I might as well keep the sprue in the box if I'm going to keep the box. Which brings up a whole other thing. Are you a box keeper, or do you throw away all the boxes?
I break them down and stack them flat.
Okay.
So because I do YouTube, eventually one of those boxes will be useful for a thumbnail or for like a prop in a video.
Okay.
Saying
interesting.
I've been working on this start collecting box, or I've been working on these Romans or what have you, and for 5 seconds in that video, I'll want to be making a goofy face next to that box.
Next to that box, yeah.
And what happens if I don't have that box anymore? So I break them down flat, and I've got a stack going in my closet. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't flatten them. I usually try and keep my extra bits in those boxes, and they're separated by those boxes. So that's where I'm at. But the sprues, yeah, I don't know. Just kind of, I don't know. I've thrown away a lot of sprues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That's what you're supposed to do. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's what you're supposed to do. But then, you bring up a good point, like with the toaster oven. If you can melt a whole bunch of sprues and make them flat, well, maybe you could get some, like, silicone molds and make some GW walls.
Yeah. I've been watching some of those videos where people melt down aluminum and copper and all that stuff, and they make their nuggets and their ingots and their coins, their bullion, and I think it's cool.
Yeah.
The thing with those forges, they've got like a propane tank hooked up to a specialty forge, and they put like the crucible into this really hot forge, and they melt down all this junk metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think in that case, you just straight up light the plastic on fire, and that would be the worst thing ever. But
if you got it that hot, yeah.
I'm trying to remember what the actual kind of melty temperature of polystyrene is, but it's like on the very high end of what a toaster oven can do. That's for sure.
Right. Now, actually, something that I was just thinking of is how much is GW plastic worth per ounce compared to, say, silver and gold? Because I bet you if you were to melt down GW sprues and make coins out of them, they would literally almost be the same price per ounce as something like silver. It's got to be close, right?
No, it doesn't.
You don't think so?
Be close. There's no way. There's no way.
I mean, it depends on the set, maybe, or like what kit it is.
They would have found a way in the casting process to make the sprues so tiny and spindly. Like, if
I don't mean literally that I don't mean literally it has that value, because of course it doesn't. But to us, right? Like, we pay $150 for a new kit, right? And there's so many ounces in that kit of actual plastic. So how much is that plastic? How much is just the sprue worth? In total for that kit. Like, in some cases, it has to be like more than gold.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. If there was an actual correlation between material cost and what you're paying the shop.
If there was, yeah. It's not like somebody's going to buy that plastic from you, but you could melt down GW plastic and be like, this custom coin that I made is worth more than this, like, gold coin. Technically. Even if it's not.
I mean, you're good at eBay. You could find a way to make it work.
Yeah. Just buy up all the sprues.
You could do some price manipulation and get people to actually spend some money on a stupid little melty toaster oven coin that you made out of trash.
Yeah. That would be very interesting, yeah. Just start bumping up the price for used GW plastic.
Leave a comment and let us know what you would pay Casey for a stupid toaster oven coin made out of trash.
Yeah, and I'm not talking like crap coin. Well, it would look nice, like a nice coin, right? I'd paint it up for you too. Slap some gold on there, call it a gold coin. Ooh, you want a copper coin? We can do that. Yeah. Make all kind of coins.
That's poor. That's poor, Casey.
Well,
What have you been up to?
No, I mean, still doing the dad thing. I've been working on. I did decide to go ahead and do that Death Guard army. Like, baby's asleep, time to paint some Death Guard. So I've actually got like somewhere around 3,000 points of Death Guard, all said and done. I've just kind of had laying around. I got a couple new things, recently, but yeah, it's just kind of been sitting around. I think it's time. So I'm going to try really hard to do that. And, I put out the first video in that series called the Baby Diaries, which, is interesting. Like, trying to do like a vlog style video that I don't normally do, where you just kind of film everything like as you go along. You talk to the camera as often as possible, and then you just get work done. Like weirdly, super freeing, like really freeing way to make a video because it is what it is, right? Like there isn't any manipulation or trying to get something done or, you know, following a script in any manner. It's just, this is what I did, and that's the video. So yeah, I've been really trying to get in on that, and I'm going to try and, you know, perfect that technique a little bit better to make it flow nicer, more like it is scripted, but, you know, if you've seen good vlogs.
Yeah, vlogs can be a good style of video, and they can be more efficient if you have to be taking care of a baby and all that.
Yeah.
And it's just a nice little change of pace, so I enjoyed the first baby diaries. I'm looking forward to apparently many more in the future, so yeah, let's go.
Yeah, well, thanks. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm day 1.5 in this week for the next episode, so I don't want to overdo it, but I don't feel like I really have a choice right now. So yeah, I'm also planning on doing some live streaming. Like I got a whole setup going. Like I fixed up my camera with the dongle, you know, got the dongle going. Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then I got a webcam up, got my microphone hooked up, everything's looks ready to go. I've done a couple of tests. I've gone live on some other rando accounts. And so I think I'm ready to go. And I think the first stream will have already gone up, you know, at the time of the podcast, but theoretically, I'm planning on doing another one Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I'm setting myself up here a little bit, just in case I don't do it this week. So I'm saying it on the podcast this upcoming Wednesday, as of recording, or as the podcast goes up. So it goes up on a Monday. Talking not tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, if you're listening to this on the day of release.
Nice. And what are you going to be doing on the stream? Painting stuff?
No, actually. I mean, I might, because I got both set up, but I think I'm going to go hunting on eBay.
Nice.
We're gonna spend a couple $100. Let's see what we get. And I need help spending a couple $100.
That actually sounds fun. I would enjoy watching this.
All right. Then I expect you to help me spend that money wisely or poorly, depending on how you feel.
You know, the chat is just going to be everyone spamming buy, right?
I mean, there's that possibility, you know, but I've got high hopes, you know, that people might be like, hey, like, check this out over here. I found this, you know, send me the link or, you know.
Well, you know, Casey, this might be the worst idea ever because you might just be showing people good deals.
It's possible.
Like, you might be recruiting people to bid against you. People are saying, it's like,
possible, yeah.
Okay, you know, Casey bid on like 10 different things today, but this item right here, this towel piranha,
that's mine
Casey
now.
doesn't really want this, and that is a pretty good deal. So I know what Casey's maximum bid is, so I'm just going to go back in there and snipe it from him.
You stream sniping, but for eBay? That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible. And hey, if that ends up being the case, then like, yeah, okay. Like I would never know, right?
Yeah. And the thing is, you know, to make it interesting and fun for the viewer, I think you need to like debate your choices a little bit. Like you end up on a nice buy it now auction. You're like, ooh, should we run the math on this team? Hey, family, what are you thinking about this? Should we do it? Should we not do it? And then
that's
while you're debating, like even if you know you're gonna do it, you're trying to have that little dialogue, build a little suspense, build some camaraderie. Right. And by the time you hit buy it now, one of your viewers has already bought that kill team.
That is definitely possible. That is definitely possible. In that case, for sure. The auction thing, I'm not too worried about. But that is a very
Or
good
maybe
point to buy it now.
this is the type of streaming where you need to put it on like a 5-minute delay and just not even respond to chat. Yeah.
Right. I'm just shopping. Don't talk to me. We're just spending a crap load of money. Here you go. Yeah, I mean, I thought spending a couple $100, because that could mean a lot of things, right? It's either we're gonna buy a bunch of little things, or what if we find an entire army for $200? That's a possibility. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I know there's a lot in that. I think I haven't bought stuff on eBay for a while, and I've actually been putting it off specifically so that I could stream and do that. So
build up those hobby bucks. No, I
exactly.
get you. Well, the thing with eBay is, are you going to be concentrating on the buy it now auctions? Are you just going to be refresh, Warhammer buy it now?
So generally when I go anyways, I like to check like the ending soonest, just because you never know what's there. So I'll probably go through it like a day's worth of ending soonest and just see, and maybe put in a couple bids, but more than likely it'll be buy it now. And it'll be going through, I don't know, just like general searches. Probably nothing too specific. We might search for like lots, armies, just general search terms for Warhammer. Might do some fat finger searching, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I kind of want to just see what happens, because I've never done a live stream before. So it's like, it's going to be a whole experience on top of like trying to also find stuff on eBay. So it has to be like somewhat easy for me to be like, buy it now, click.
Yeah. Well, I'm just imagining a circumstance where you find a really interesting post that expires in 17 hours or something. And then you're just going to load up on some Diet Orange Soda and make that stream go for 17 hours? Or?
That's not a terrible idea.
Not terrible.
It would be terrible for me. Like, I still got stuff to do. That's an interesting question. Like, I could see that being one of those things where it's like, okay, 17 hours, that puts that at 4 a.m. my time. I will see you at 3:45. Like, I'm going to be back, and just put in like an hour at like 4 in the morning just to see what happens. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Get ready for 10 seconds of excitement at 4 in the morning.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's definitely where the buy it now kind of takes it. Like, we're looking for somebody who's just unloading something they don't know what they have. And that happens a lot, like way more than you think it would. Like, you see buy it nows, and it's usually like super exorbitant prices, and people just, they know what they have, but they want way more because it's painted or it's assembled or whatever. But like, man, I gotta say, at least 25% are reasonably priced, and it's just a matter of if you want that thing right now or not. So yeah, I'm definitely on that route, and I don't know, I'm looking forward to it. Should be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And on the other end of things, I've put together all of the models. Well, not all the models for the army, but almost all of them. And I've primed everything, and I've got like a layer of dirt, spray primer. Like, there's black and then there's brown, because I'm doing like chipping medium on everything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I got that Mortarion put together. It's looking good. So it should be interesting. I'm also planning on putting in a game with these half-painted models in the next week or so. 2 weeks? Week or two, I can't remember. But actually playing a game with probably at least half of them. Seeing how it goes.
Exciting.
Yeah. It's crazy exciting. I haven't played a game in like a whole month. It's amazing. Which in itself is crazy, because I haven't played a game in like a year and a half since before that.
Right.
Yeah.
Just yesterday I got my second dose of vaccine, so here hopefully I'll be reconvening with folks and playing some games, and friends are starting to text me and telling me that the new Magic the Gathering Commander decks are pretty sweet, and that all sounds good.
You're getting that pull from the old Magic, huh?
Yeah, get back into the scary world out there. Yeah.
They almost had me. They almost had me last time with it was a bunch of metal bands doing promotions or they were doing like preview cards.
Hmm.
Yeah, that kind of almost got me, but it didn't. It didn't get me. Wizards.
Very nice.
Someday.
So let's see. More updates here. I did play a little online RPG Traveler, which is a space RPG. You're running around as a little crew on a trader vessel or something, and
okay,
flying around and doing missions. And it's an RPG, not so dissimilar from Dungeons and Dragons or something like that. But I found the switch to the space setting to be quite refreshing. Relatively modern technology, depending on the exact setting. And yeah,
interesting.
I enjoyed it. And so that was part of the Old as Hell Gamers and Geeks podcast. Not on their actual podcast, but they have a YouTube channel. And so that was with Travis and Doug from the podcast, and also old Carl Tuttle from the ICs, and also old Blake and Ed from Life After the Cover Save. So
yeah,
it was a fun little crew, and I stopped in as a guest appearance character sort of thing.
Very nice.
I don't know how long that arc is going to go for. I know my character could die at any time, and
they're just like, "Oh, Brent, you want to come back?" You're like, "I don't know. Okay, we'll just kill you off. It's fine."
I know that I'm the expendable one in that crew, but
right.
I should be on at least 1 and maybe 1.5 episodes. We'll see.
Yeah. And that is the which podcast?
Old as Hell Gamers and Geeks.
Perfect.
And so that's a podcast that I listen to on my phone, but on their YouTube channel they also have a what's become a fairly standard RPG recording thing, but they at least do edit it to have a lot of funny like graphics and visual aids and pictures of spaceships flying around and all that stuff.
Good.
So it's and they skip the boring parts and skip the boring parts. They skip the boring parts and put like memes and images of explosions and stuff. So it's, in terms of watching an RPG, it's pretty good.
That's good. That's very good. Yeah. That sounds exciting. And that's coming out pretty soon. It's in the next couple weeks, right?
Presumably.
Okay.
I don't know. They're 7 or 8 episodes into that game.
Nice.
And I came in, after their first tutorial mission or two sort of thing. I was the one of the not NPCs, but sort of an NPC, guest PC. I was a guest PC on their first real post-tutorial mission, I suppose.
Nice. Well, I'm looking forward to that. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, so check it out.
Got any hot tips? Oh, you did a live stream. Okay, cool.
I mean, I'll press you about hot tips later. I was just gonna say I did a live stream on Twitch. Now you were talking about your eBay live stream. Is that going to be on YouTube or Twitch? YouTube. Okay.
Probably on YouTube. Yeah. Okay. Just because for now I don't want to mix. Although I've got the Twitch, their little program or whatever. So I could go live on Twitch. But I don't think anybody would watch. I have like 3 subscribers or followers on Twitch just from being in like live streams for 5 minutes.
I think that's actually okay for trying things out. I mean, if you've got a budget, if you've made yourself a budget for buying stuff on eBay, maybe you want a bigger audience. But for
exactly.
For checking out your streaming setup, actually, it's better if you don't have many followers.
Sure.
Working out maybe the kinks with just the true diehards in chat. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and if it's up on this podcast and I plan on going live Wednesday, then check it out. Maybe follow me on Twitch and obviously probably already are on YouTube, but maybe on Twitch just in case. Let's throw that out there now. But you did do a live stream and you did paint.
Yeah. So this was my first painting live stream. So I've done total of 2 streams now. 1 not painting, 1 just messing around with computers, and the second one I did some painting. I had a Savage Orc boy named Side Bone because of that bone he had strapped to his side.
Side Bone. My God.
Yeah. Yeah, but
I
I'm
love
working
it.
on my system for trying to make a live stream interesting. I know a lot of what keeps people engaged with various streamers is that the streamers have a personality and they're interacting with chat and all
Sure,
that sort
sure.
of stuff. I'll work on it. I'll work on it. But I'm
I
also
mean,
trying
I
to
watched for a
stay interesting
while.
with the painting.
Right. That's always the balance, right? It's like trying to do a decent job and also interact and be that person. I mean, I know that there are definitely people out there who are really good at that. So it's
Oh,
definitely a
yeah.
skill that you have to learn and work on and get better at. Um,
Yeah.
but like, I mean, I watched for a while on that stream,
I appreciate
and
it.
like, I thought it was enjoyable. And maybe it's just because I already know you, but you know,
Nice.
like it
Nice.
felt good. There was a good amount of interaction, and you were answering questions. You were also painting, so it was like, yeah, okay, it's hanging out with Brent and doing some hobby. That sounds cool.
Hooray.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I know some people who can keep it lively and interesting when they're clipping sprues, and I do not think I could do that. Uh,
you're
but,
right. Yeah.
but my strategy was to take a orc boy, a savage orc boy who had been started, so he already looked decent and green.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, he was based, he was green, he had some eyeballs, he had his mouth painted, and that's where I started the stream. And then from there it was kind of interacting with chat for what color is this detail going to be? Is he going to have a tiger
Mm-hmm.
cloth pelt or zebra or
Mm-hmm.
giraffe or cheetah? You know, all of
Snake
those
skin.
exotic animals have some sweet patterns. And those savage boys, they're wearing skins and they've got their tattoos and their war paint.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was one approach for trying to keep it visually interesting is starting with a decently painted mini and then adding the fun, spicy details to it live and getting some input from chat. And that was
Sure.
the attempt. I'll hopefully keep on doing stuff like that, but it was fun. I am learning the ways of live streaming painting.
Right.
Maybe we'll do it again someday. You know, who knows? Who
I
knows?
think that you should. Yeah, definitely. I've also been told that you can like co-stream with other people. I'm not sure how that works, but I heard that's a thing.
Yeah, so I know sometimes people will they'll both be on their Twitch stream
Okay.
and they'll be talking to each other over Skype or Discord or whatever. And so
Oh, sure.
the voices coming through on both of the streams are both voices. And so you turn off the chat you turn off the audio on one of the streams so you're not getting a terrible echo.
That's an interesting
And
idea.
you can either watch, in windowed two windows for two different streams, or you can watch your favorite streamer and kind of hear them have a conversation with your not quite as favorite streamer. Or
Right, yeah.
but there also are websites that will kind of reframe both of those streams, and they'll
Mm,
call it a co-stream. I can't remember the name of this site, but it'll like reframe both of the streams in one single window, and you can kind of
right.
decide how big to make each of the little windows and whether you're reading the
Oh,
chat,
okay.
and you can change up the horizontal and the vertical. It's an option. It's an
Yeah.
option. So if you ever need a Twitch buddy,
Yeah.
we'll talk. We'll talk.
That's
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm thinking. Might be fun for the future. Yeah. But paint bravely, doing some live streaming, some live podcasting someday.
Yeah, it
Someday.
adds an element of risk that's not there with an edited podcast or video or whatever.
I mean,
Because
to be fair, like the edited version of this podcast is maybe there's a couple things cut out where we're like, oh,
there's not
hey,
much.
let's cut that weird silence out, you know. But for the most part, I think we just kind of do it, and that's what it is.
Hmm.
Matt does all the magic stuff on the other end, so maybe I'm wrong, and he cuts a lot out, and I just don't even know.
So sometimes I swing by the comment section of our podcast, and the
Hmm.
comments are all like, "Don't tell Brent,"
Yeah.
and thanks, guys. Thanks. Really appreciated. Thank you. You know I'm not gonna rewatch it again after editing it, right?
See,
Like,
that's the thing. That's the thing that we all know is that you're not gonna watch it again. So it's like a keep the joke going, don't tell Brent, because and it's like it's your own fault. Like it's your own fault.
it would be so easy to set it at 1.75 times speed.
It would be,
and watch an hour and a
Yeah.
half of content to get.
Yeah, it would be. Still not
It's
gonna do it, are
doable.
you?
It's possible. I know roughly when the runtime that Gordon knocked on the door and I had to get up and take my headphones
Yeah.
off and Casey sabotaged me. But
Then you have to figure out which episode it was.
yeah, I know. But yeah, anyway, streaming live. Gordon hopped up on the table and
Yes.
there he was. Couldn't
It's
edit
gold.
that out.
It's gold.
Yeah, a
Come
live audience, so I had to pretend to be nice to Gordon before I gently removed him from the desk.
You place him gently in the Indominus box over your shoulder
Uh-huh.
and come back.
Yeah. Always remember whether that camera is on or not. You can't be
Yeah, that's a good call.
can't be throwing bad cats across the room when the internet's watching.
No, can't do that. There's a lot of
Oh.
things, There's a lot of things.
So I think you were just about to tell the audience about a hot tip of the day.
Well, I was asking you if you had any, because normally you're out of the gate with those hot tips.
I try to do that to bait the hook right at the beginning of the episode.
They got me.
Sometimes I do, but this time you were waiting. The audience was waiting for the hot tip. And plus, it's the way you phrase the question. If you phrase the question at the very beginning of the episode, how are you liking your orange soda? What have you been up to this week? It's a little bit harder to change that around into my
to be
hot
like
tip of the
hot
fortnight.
tips, yeah. That's true. How are you enjoying that orange soda?
This is actually one of my favorite drinks at the moment. Hannaford brand diet orange soda.
Hannaford. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you even get that?
It's a northeastern grocery store chain.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah.
Kroger would it make more sense
Is it
if I
Kroger?
said Kroger's?
Yes, it would, actually.
Diet orange soda.
Like, ironically, don't have a Kroger's, but I know what it is. And we have stores that sell Kroger's stuffs, but aren't Kroger's stores.
Shop and Save, IGA, Stop and Shop.
None of those.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Weird
Kroger's.
West Coast stores. Hot tips though. Hot tips. I think I got a couple good ones. Yeah.
That's what the people are here for. People have been listening to us for 20 minutes at 1.75 speed to get to this point, so that better be a good hot tip, Casey. You're checking your notes because you literally don't remember what your hot tip was, so...
That is 100% true, and I think it's because you actually wrote notes below my notes, so now I'm trying to make sure that I'm not going to read one of yours. Because that would be terrible.
That'd be pretty funny, actually.
Try wet blending. No. So let's see here. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time with this. Okay,
Casey
so
just wrote paint bravely over and over and over again.
I did.
You can't use that as your hot tip every episode.
I mean, I feel like this entire podcast is a hot tip, so you know.
All right. I've got some bad news, listeners. We have no hot tips this episode, and we were going to drag this on a little bit longer, but there's nothing. We got nothing. We just have paint bravely written over and over and over again.
I mean, it does make sense though. If you try really hard, yeah.
Don't let anything hold you back.
Exactly. You just try really hard.
I just had a thought of before we do this podcast, we just spend time looking up all those motivational posters that just have like the kitten hanging from the branch, hang in there. Don't let your dreams be memes. You never know how high you can fly until you try. And there's like a dog over the rainbow sort of thing. It's got a little cape on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Those are great.
Yeah, if we just write down really banal motivational quotes, people will catch on though. Eventually.
I mean, yeah, after like I don't know how many episodes would you
Some
give
people
that?
would
Like
just
4 or
eat
5.
that up. Yeah.
Hot tip of the week. Just hang in there. Do your
Hang in
best.
there.
Paint bravely. And just try really hard not to screw up. That's what it takes.
All right.
Yeah.
I did actually scribble down a hot tip just in case Casey failed us here. It's always good to have a backup plan, emergency action. All right. I've been working on trying to learn NMM, non-metallic metal. And this is something that I have avoided for a long time, and it's always been on my I'll get to this eventually list.
Yes.
And so, yeah, for non-metallic metal, like if you're trying to paint gold, the idea is you're using not a gold metallic paint, but you're using non-metallic paints. So if you're trying to do gold, you might have like a tan or a gold brown color, white and dark brown or something like that. And you are painting all kinds of blends and transitions so that there's the overall kind of brownish color or gold brownish color, but there's also spots of bright white or really light contrasty shininess where that mimics the armor glinting right at you and it's just shooting sunlight right into your eye. And then there's spots of darkness where that armor is glinting that light off in some other direction and you're just seeing the darkness.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a traditional painting technique for in case you don't have glitter paints the way that we do for painting steel and gold and copper.
Yeah.
And it is something that, the professional show off type of painters love to do on their minis. And it's something that can be really frustrating to break into because it requires a couple of things. The first being understanding how light acts when it hits a shiny surface.
Right.
And to a degree, we all, could sort of imagine light glinting off of a suit of armor. But if you were to say, okay, draw that, you're given a blank mini or a brown mini and say, okay, now use white to sketch in where you're getting glints.
Right.
And then use dark brown to put in the dark spots. That's more tricky.
Yes, it is.
And to a degree, that requires some painting bravely. It requires looking at source images. And it also just requires some experience and building up those skills and those instincts to have an idea of where the light and the dark goes. And then on top of that, to make it look good, the way NMM paint jobs look good is if those transitions from white to gold brown to dark brown are smooth and precise and they look natural. And so there's a very technical, skill set that needs to be developed there. Whether you are really good at glazing or layering or loaded brush mixing or two brush wet blending, you need to have some set of skills that allow you to get some really nice transitions, which if I really want to, I can sort of do some of that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, a couple of those techniques I have enough skill with that I could make it work if I knew where I wanted the light and the dark. But a lot of those skills take a lot of time, and so it's like you need to put a lot of time in to then figure out if you put the light and the dark in the right places or not. So something I've been experimenting with over the last week is doing the blends with an airbrush. So I consider my airbrush to be like a speed stick for doing blends, because if you start with and so I'll hold up a tiny figure to the camera, which if you're listening on your phone you can't see anyway, but I started with a gold brown base coat on a mini.
Yeah.
And then I took white ink in my airbrush, and as precisely as I could, I put in spots and lines of white on some of the armor panels. So on a shin we call it a shin pad or a
Sure.
greave, sure.
Yeah.
But
Armor for
like
legs.
there'd be a stripe of bright white where the angle and the curvature of that plate of armor,
where the cylinder reaches its apex.
Yeah, the word tangent might be involved somewhere,
Right,
or
right.
there's trigonometry is somehow involved.
Definitely, it's a circle. So
I'm not this kind of light scientist, but hello, Snuffles.
Right.
And yeah, so using the airbrush, just very quickly putting down, okay, we're gonna have a bright spot here and here, and there's on this cylinder, there's gonna be a line of bright running down here.
Yeah.
And then load it up with dark brown ink. And okay, we're going to put almost in like the alternating positions. We're going to have darker colors. And what I ended up with is by no means perfect. But I think it was fast though. And it's a way to break into starting to get a little bit of confidence of where do I want bright, where do I want dark.
Yeah.
And of course, there's limits to what an airbrush can do in terms of if you pull back just a little too much on that trigger, you did it wrong.
Right.
Yeah. And that's one advantage of spending 2 hours doing glazing on the shin pad is that you can get it exactly the way that you want it,
yes.
as long as you knew what you were doing in the first place.
Isn't that, it's such a weird thing, because that's really what it feels like is, oh yeah, you can get it to be where you want it, but the question always is, where is it supposed to go?
Yeah, so there's two things there. Yeah. And so, yeah, if you are trying to do the shoulder pad or the shin pad of a piece of armor and make it non-metallic gold, if I was in exactly the right space mentally, was ready to sit down for 2 hours to try to make that shoulder pad look right, which for me, I don't think I can do.
Right.
I'm pretty patient on a lot of things, but I've tried to do that before and I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I'm very willing to take my airbrush and say, okay, in the next 30 seconds, I'm either going to get this spot of white to look right or not.
The next 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Right.
But in that circumstance, spend 3 minutes getting the light onto the mini and 3 minutes getting the dark onto the mini. And it may be that, this knee pad looks stupid and that shoulder pad looks stupid, but maybe the left shin pad, wow, that looks just right. That actually kind of looks like gold. That's, if you squint at it just right.
That's what it is, right?
You're ignoring the speckling.
Yeah, I was watching a Vince Venturella tutorial on non-metallic metal and swords. This is a couple years ago. And like, I went with it, it was a long tutorial, but I think I was like maybe 45 minutes in or something like that. It felt like a long time. But he was like, all right, so at this point, if you squint at it and it looks like metal, you're doing a good job. And it was like, I'm squinting, like, no, it's not. It's a blob of, I don't know what. Like, I don't know, it was a weird thing of like, just keep doing it until it looks like the thing that you want it to look like, and that is a lot of like trial and error and thin layers and going back and not being afraid to start over or just erase parts of what you've done. It just takes a lot of practice to do that with a paintbrush. Like, I commend you for trying it with an airbrush. I'm actually really interested to see the results of that, because I saw the picture you posted and like I was okay, all right, like
it's not great, but
no, but I see it.
It's an on-ramp into sort of getting a little bit of experience of where do I want a shiny spot, where. Right. And the masters can do some truly goofy things of putting the horizon. I'm thinking of a Squidmar video where there's an ogre carrying a cannon, and you can see the horizon reflected on the metal of the cannon.
Yeah,
that's cool. That rules. Cool. But just the the combination of sometimes the time required to do the blends that you want, added on to the fact that you need to know where you want those blends to start and end. You need to have an idea of what it should look like in your head beforehand.
Yeah.
Both of those are big steps. And if anyway, the little hot tip I have here is to use an airbrush to try to cheese one of those steps and at least make it go fast.
Yeah.
And if you get the blend, it's an airbrush blend. There'll be a little speckling there. It won't be exactly where you want it, but an airbrush is at least a very fast way to get blends onto a model.
Yeah.
And it's I definitely reprimed my minis a couple of times until I got to a point I kind of liked, but yeah, and sort of on this tangent of trying to understand non-metallic metal, I primed a mini with glossy black primer.
Okay.
And if I hold that up to light and
You
rotate it
can kinda
around,
see-
you can see how the light is glinting off of it,
Uh-huh.
off of the cylinders and
Cylinders and spheres.
it's just mostly cylinders actually.
It
but
is
yeah,
mostly, yes.
it is. Yeah, it is.
Space
it is.
Marines and Sig Marines are a lot of cylinders and then a lot of little spheres like shoulder pads and heads and stuff. So yeah, I mean that's how you're supposed to look at it. I've been told that you're not supposed to do the whole gloss thing, hold it up to a light. But then I've also been told this works fine. I don't know who to believe. You know? I mean, it's probably just whatever works best for you. Like most things in miniature painting.
I think this is one of those things where there's no substitute for experience. Like you
Right.
really have to dive in there and mess it up a few times, but also start to stumble upon things that kind of look right.
Well, like it's taken me quite a while and a lot of swords, but I feel like I've actually gotten a really good grip on like a non-metallic power swords.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel pretty confident about that. If there's a nice wide open palette of a sword, like I'm gonna make that thing look rad. Like it's gonna look like non-metallic, cool power sword thing, you know.
Nice.
So like that's one of those things. Maybe that's a good place to start for a lot of this type of thing for non-metallic metals. Like, you know, it's a long, flat blade.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was even confident enough to do some Photoshop point arrows, place highlights here in my video about it. I was like, that's right. Yeah, I got one of those. Okay, I know where these things go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, my what is it, that Vlad von Karstein video, like got some, just I don't know, it worked out.
It's a nice looking sword. It is.
Yeah,
it is.
It's a nice looking sword. Like I feel really good about this sword.
You should.
I do.
What else is new with you, buddy?
I don't know. I've just been trying to stay awake. It's a weird thing. Like I wanted to take a break. Like I wanted to take a longer break than I did, and I just couldn't stay away, you know? Partially because this is my hobby. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I do this hobby because I enjoy it. So like going through something stressful like having a new kid, it's like, well, I want to be working, but I want to be hobbying more so. So there's just been kind of a weird balance. Yeah, it's been working out though. Been pretty happy. I bought this amazing piece of technology. I don't know why I didn't bring this up sooner. Probably because it's not relevant to the hobby whatsoever, but it's relevant to me because I'm tired.
All right, let's have it.
I bought a bassinet that is Bluetooth enabled, so I can monitor the bassinet wherever I am in the house.
Mm-hmm.
But it's motorized. So if I want to lay that kid down, kid's going to go to sleep. I want the kid to feel like she's riding in the back of my car.
Yeah.
Click a button. It starts to sway and move. Sound effects. No joke.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it does all sorts of different kind of movements. It's got sound, and the kid loves it. So sleep has been better.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, there's a hot tip for you new parents out there.
Exactly. Buy the four moms. I think it's called a mamaroo, like kangaroo bassinet. They also have like a little seat that the kid can sit in. They're motorized and they're insane. Like I don't know, never would have thought, and it's amazing. Yeah.
There you go.
I do have a hot tip though. I do actually have a hot tip. I have one. I have a hot tip. I got it right here.
Ready.
Right. So if you want to do some masking on your models, you got some weird tight spot. You don't want to do sub assemblies because those are stupid. I would recommend. Now I talked about silly putty in one episode as a hot tip, and I probably should have expanded on that. So we're going to expand right now. But plastic wrap, right? Just a crinkle plastic wrap. You can, like, say you have a sword or like a shoulder, whatever it is. You can kind of jam that through there and then kind of push the plastic around it and push it into the crevices. It clings there. So then it's kind of like form fitted and it just stays there. Then you can do your painting and just pull it back. Alternatively, you can use gloves. Like that works a little bit better for things that are like independent, like swords, axes. But you kind of sit it through the glove and then have the glove wrapped around the handle and do your airbrushing and whatever. Then of course the old fashioned hobo shield, any kind of piece of paper. Business cards work really well, or a deck of cards as we talked about in the past. A little expansion on that a little bit. But yeah, those are really good ways to mask things off that probably should have mentioned in the past. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I also just remembered somebody sent us an email with a hot tip.
You're going to steal their hot tip?
No, like specifically to send to us.
Okay.
Yeah. Hot tip from J.E. Likes the podcast, specifically our podcast and Tarped Under Plastic. He mentioned that. I thought that was pretty great. But his tip is a little bit of a video he saw that Marco Frazzoni put out. But it's about when we were talking about the Vallejo metal colors and how you were saying that they're runny. And I had mentioned, and a couple other people in the comments suggested just, dab a little bit of it off on a paper towel, whatever. Well, apparently Marco mixes the metal color with like whatever his favorite metallic paint is. So you're an army painter. One, you want to get a little thicker, but you still want the consistency and niceness of the metal color. Just mix them together. And you got it.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like it.
So, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool from J.E. Thank you for the awesome email and the addendum to the metal color stuff.
Yeah. Thanks, J.E. Thanks, Marco. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't worry about me.
I think we're ready for the meat and potatoes here.
The meat and potatoes?
The topic of the day.
The topic of the day. All right. What is the topic of the day, Brent?
Well, you came up with it, but the title of the episode, unless you wimp out and don't make this the title of the episode, but the title of the episode is definitely. Mom, He Copied My Warhammers.
This is definitely, of course, that's going to be the title. No shame with titles for these podcasts. Like, I don't care. Like, as much clickbait as I can put into these titles, I will. It's a podcast. We need it.
Gotta get them viewers and listeners. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the subtitle here is Copying a Paint Job Wrong.
Yeah.
So we've talked before about, scrolling Instagram for inspiration, and maybe you'll see something in there like, oh, that's a great idea. I want to do that.
Yeah.
And so let's talk a little bit about the ethics and morality of that sort of thing. Well,
first of all, I'm gonna break the I guess the tension and just say there's literally zero wrong with any of it. I don't think there is a moral line when it comes to wanting to improve your painting, especially if you're at home, you're surfing Instagram, whatever it is, and you're like, I want to do that, you should definitely do that. And using someone else's paint job as a guide is a really good way to do that. You were talking non-metallic metal. We don't know where to place those highlights necessarily. If someone else has painted that model, if someone else has painted a Stormcast model, the ones that you were showing in non-metallic metal, you could reference that easily and copy it. It's not going to be the same paint job. It's probably not even going to be as good as whatever, you're trying to copy. But the point is that you're trying to learn and get better. And by using a guide, just by looking at someone else's work, somebody who is better than you probably are currently, you are going to improve. You're going to start to understand the little nuances. You're going to say, well, I kind of see why this highlight is here. That makes sense because whatever. So yeah, I don't want it to be like this. Maybe we're going to say, oh, it's wrong to copy people, or you shouldn't ever do that, because no, you should definitely copy people.
Yeah, so you're making the point as it's a really good way to get inspiration in terms of colors, but also techniques, and
yes,
and the act of copying, you might learn something new, or there might be a speedier way to pick up a new skill or a new style or what have you, and that all makes sense.
Isn't what we do, isn't our job, even though we're not like world-class painters, but our job is a little bit of like, check this cool thing out, copy me.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is the idea, so
yeah, I'm gonna put some rules on this, that
okay.
if you then go and post your paint job somewhere, I try to cite when I can.
Yes.
Like if I am not just inspired, but pretty much copying somebody's paint job,
Sure.
I do try to make a note of that.
Yeah, and I did put that in the notes. Giving credit.
so let's get that out of the way first.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah, I mean, as I'm browsing the net, it's pretty common that I'll save a picture and like, oh, maybe someday I'll paint a mini like this. This is a really great idea. I like this a lot. And when I go through and save the picture, when I'm using the snipping tool there, I try to make sure that I am including in my snip the name of the user that posted it, or
right, like if it's on Instagram, you want to catch that little top left corner.
Exactly.
With the name. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah, so my previous career, I was a scientist, and when we publish papers and stuff, like most academic papers have like at the very least 20 citations
right.
in the first page.
So and so begot so and so's work, begot so and so's work, and now we're here. Yes.
Yep. And I mean, it is interesting to see how some of the citations evolve from in the burning apparatus first described by Bunsen et al. And then, after a few years, that becomes, we used a Bunsen burner to do this.
Right, yeah.
And
yeah.
I mean, probably the most shameful example in our lives is Goobertown yellow.
Yes, that is a very good example, Brent.
Where and in that video I did cite, I got this idea from some dude in my comment section, and at the time I made the video, I didn't even know like where to look for that exact comment, and so I didn't even know the person's name at the time, so I could have done a better job citing that one. I didn't know people would actually watch that video though, but
no, couldn't have seen that at all.
And had I really been on my game, I would have recognized that I had seen that yellow somewhere before on Casey's channel, and that would have been, I copied the eBay miniature rescues method for this yellow. But no, like if you like somebody's paint job so much that you are copying it, that should be a real honor. I
think so.
Proof that they did a great job.
They're inspiring you in some way, that you're dedicating literal hours of your life and time in your spare time to try and replicate something that they did. So.
And so if you do a paint job that was inspired by somebody on Instagram, when you post that picture of your paint job on Instagram, say like, hey, here's my variant of this idea that I saw at so and so posting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. Of course, because if you are trying to, I don't know, like pass it off as like, oh, this is 100% original or something, like the internet's big enough, someone's going to know. So there's just no sense in doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody will mention it.
So I think there is one exception here, which is if you are inspired by a local person, or if you are inspired from somebody in your game group. So
oh, you mean you don't have to give credit in that case?
No,
or?
well, no, I mean...
Like, what do you mean?
I mean, I think my favorite Space Marine chapter might be the Salamanders, but I haven't painted Salamanders yet because my friend Alex has a Salamanders army. And
Alex.
which is a slightly different issue, but if you're at risk of showing up at a tournament and being the second person to make an army of Buzz Lightyear Space Marines, that kind of goes from being an honorable thing, of giving praise to somebody by spending your time emulating them, and it turns it into, dude, this is my thing. Like,
I mean, I think that maybe there is a line there, like, maybe it conversions, like that specifically, where you're making something recognizable other than what the thing is, like, because an ultramarine is an ultramarine. Like, no one's gonna be like, well, you painted ultramarines and I painted ultramarines. Like, what the hell, dude? Like, no, it's not gonna happen. But like, you're right, the whole Buzz Lightyear Space Marine thing, like, there's a little bit of thought and work that went into that. That's kind of a different route. It's very specific, right?
Yeah. And so in a way, I wish that the first person to do the Buzz Lightyear thing was the only person to ever do it.
I mean, I saw the picture the one time. I saved that picture. I don't think I could ever bring myself to do it because it's not going to be as good as that picture, right? It's not going to be as good as that guy did it. And I've seen other people try. You're right. It's just not the same.
Well, even if they do a good job, though, it was a good idea, and it's copying like a very niche good idea.
Right. Yeah.
And
I'm with you. Yeah.
And that's not to say you shouldn't do a Buzz Lightyear army, but there is a layer of sadness there that that cool idea got copied many times, and it's no longer original.
Right. Maybe it's more so that it's not that you shouldn't copy it. If you think it's really cool, you should probably paint one Space Marine like that and put it on your shelf and go check that out. When some normie comes over and you're like, oh, yes, Buzz Lightyear.
I mean, you're not going to be the only person. You're not going to be the only person to copy Buzz Lightyear. There's going to be dozens of people who do this, and so if you want to, do it. But there is just a little bit of sadness there that that unique original idea got copied so many times, but such is life.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I can't really think of any other examples though past that one so much. Are there any like iconic paint jobs like that?
I mean, things come and go into style, and I think your idea of conversions is right. Like, if there's a really clever conversion that somebody, used their ingenuity and creativity to come up with something that's uniquely theirs, there's a little bit of a feels bad if that suddenly becomes the popular thing.
Yeah, that's true.
On the other hand, if you hear that Carl Tuttle on the Independent Characters likes his Howling Griffin Space Marines and you want that chapter too, do it. It's Man doesn't have a monopoly on Howling Griffin Space Marines.
Right. exactly.
minotaurs or whatever they were. I don't know.
I literally couldn't tell you. It's
All right.
Ultramarines? It's Space Marine? No? Yes. Yes, feel the hate. I can hear the cat in the background. I can tell you want to get up.
Snuffles and Gordon got fresh kitty litter today. Just a wonderful sandbox to dig through and see what's in there. So Snuffles was just having a good root around in there before it was time to get down to business. So.
Makes sense, yeah.
And I suspect afterwards they'll bury that good. So
it's better.
You better start talking now, Casey.
That's what I'm saying. What are you doing? Yeah, maybe conversions are definitely that thing that I don't know. It's hard to say because like I did that video with the Sylvaneth Bog Sylvaneth, and that was a direct. Like I saw a picture, it was rad, and I was like, I'm doing that conversion. Like it actually made me go and buy the stuff to do it, and mine don't look anything like those guys, whoever did the convert. I don't even know who it was. Like I don't have a name. I think I cited it in the video. I don't know who it is now, but yeah, like they're not exactly the same, but it's definitely not my idea. And now, after I did that video, it was like people are like, oh, you should do a whole army. You should, do this and this and this. And it's like, yeah, I could. But then it's definitely like, if I did show up somewhere with that army, well, it's not my idea. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Brett's just going nuts. This cat right in front of him, like, can't handle it. I scratch it on the side of the wall. We need to amplify that noise. Make sure that doesn't get cut out.
So the one bit of editing I do on these is I do try to cut out my audio most of the time when Casey is speaking.
Yeah, I don't think in this case you should, though. For those specific sections, you can't. It's too good. It's too good.
All done.
Yeah? Is that okay? All right, then. The cat is
probably going to hop up on the table here soon, like all proud of itself.
Oh, man, that's so
We'll
gross.
see. Yeah.
Okay. So is there anything else besides maybe some specific kind of conversions? Because I think there are some conversions that are completely open for being copied.
I think you are allowed to copy anything that you see online. I think absolutely everything is open to you. I'm just saying that there's some things I feel just a hint of sadness for the original creator if they were going to be the only person with their Buzz Lightyear Marines or their,
Do you think when they made it, though, they were thinking, like, that's it? I'm the first and last. Like, no one else is
I think a lot of people, when they come up with original paint schemes, are doing it because they want to be they want to have a unique army or like they're really proud of the look that they came up with using their creativity. And they probably went through some trial and error to get the colors just right. And I think for some of those really original things that, and it probably does vary from person to person, but maybe you were the first person to do a fall themed wood elf army or something like that.
Right.
That's been done a million times, but if you did a fall-themed Wood Elf army where everyone else is doing spring and summer, and then you go to a tournament and everybody's like, oh, yeah, that's a really cool look. And then next year you go back to that same tournament and there's like 3 other fall-themed Wood Elf armies. There's a little bit of feels bad there. Of course.
I can see that.
Now, for those 3 new fall Wood Elf players, as long as they say, yeah, hey, Casey, you really inspired me with the look of your army. It's so cool, and I'm so happy with these. Thanks for giving me this idea. But
see, I wouldn't feel bad though. I don't know.
Yeah, that's all right. So
right.
Steal anything that you want to, but just be aware that do your citations and your shout outs and your referencing,
Yeah,
and you're all good, all good.
I'd say so.
I do think in a friend group though, if you've got like 4 or 5 folks who play games together, copying somebody else's army scheme with
Yeah,
the
well.
knowledge that the you are most often going to be playing against that person, I think maybe watch out for that situation.
I
But
think
you
that
should be allowed to
definitely,
copy from the
yeah,
internet as much as you want, as long as you're being chill about it.
yeah. Well, okay. So your buddy Alex is playing salamanders,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is he doing anything specific with his salamanders? Is he like getting
Not
the upgrade
particularly.
kits? Is he putting on, shoulder pads? Is he getting the smooth, bald headed head swaps going? You know what I'm saying?
I I may actually break this rule soon because he's not doing anything special with them, and I think he likes his death guard more
Eh,
anyway.
well, okay, I could see that, but um, specifically, if okay, like in a friends group, yeah, it's just kind of a dick move to even play the same army as your friend, right? Like
Right,
that's
right,
kind of
right.
messed up, especially if y'all pick different factions to do a thing with. Like I think that falls apart at a certain point when you're just starting to buy more stuff and you like other things. Like I have multiple armies, right? Like that's gonna be what it's gonna be. The guy that I've been playing games with lately has a Gloomspite Gitz army for AOS. He doesn't have any other army. Well, I have a Gloomspite Gitz army, a very large one, but I'm probably not going to play that against his Gloomspite Gitz. That'd be a dick move. But whatever. But you start collecting other things, you get around that. I think that if Alex is going to make you play 40k after trying to push Sigmar on you for so long, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think Salamander's fair game. I think if you start doing some sweet conversions, some extras, you put in the work, the effort. Well, guess what? Those salamanders are your salamanders. You're gonna feel the
Might do that
closeness.
out of spite. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Spite army might actually get you to finish 2,000 points this year.
Wouldn't count on that.
Man, I'm already. I think I got to be at least like 3 or 4,000 points in this year,
Great.
somewhere
Good.
in there. Yeah,
Good for
somewhere.
you. Yeah.
Oh, I feel good. I feel good.
I've snipped out so many pieces of terrain this week. Have
Have you?
those had points?
Some
Thousands of points I've
some
snipped
of
out.
it does have points. Did you snip the ones with points or
No.
without points?
No. No, I've got off-brand but still pretty good ramparts and dungeons and lasers here.
Ah, very
That's
nice.
what I've been snipping.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love it. Well then, I don't know if there is more of a line that we could draw for copying. Like, if somebody copies you, then it should feel good. And if you copy someone else, it'd probably make them feel good. And especially if you let them know.
Yeah. I think that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're always pretty big fans of getting inspiration from wherever you can and
Yeah.
using that to do what you want to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think, very specifically for learning new techniques and just seeing what you can do to try and improve, like, it's probably one of the better ways to use that kind of thing of just like wholesale ripping someone else off because they're just a better painter. You look at it and you want to be that kind of painter. You want to do that kind of thing. Like, it's just good. It's good for you. These cats are ruining this podcast, Brent. Or maybe they're making it so much better I can't even. It's beyond. You know, it's
Snuffles is just
otherworldly.
staring at me and sneezing right now.
Oh, sometimes, man.
So I don't think that situation is going to get better anytime soon. So we might want to wrap it up, actually, Casey.
Yeah, we could do that. We could do that. We
Yeah.
could call this time. If you have any suggestions for topics in the future, some hot tips, if you want to help us out with those, share your hot tips with the world. Hit us up on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/paintbravelythepodcast, or email us, paintbravelythepodcast@gmail.com. Yeah, I think on that note, as it were, thank you for joining us on another episode of Paint Bravely. If you enjoyed this podcast, please help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, subscribing to the YouTube channel, and sharing this message with your hobby friends. And as always, we appreciate each and every one of you for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
We appreciate you. Thanks for listening, everyone.